walk like lions. Hey, good morning, folks. Chappy coming to you live from Prescott, Arizona. So good to see you on this Wednesday. Folks, for this Wednesday, we are going back to the 17th of September, 1944, a little place called Holland. And this is during the Second World War. It is Operation Market Garden. Now, we touched on this a little while back. We touched on the British 1st Airborne in Arnhem, holding the bridge up there. Pretty cool little session there. If you go back, you could see it on our on some of our older videos that are put into YouTube area. But today we're going to be talking about the middle area of Operation Market Garden. So in the south was the 101st, in the middle 82nd, and in the north Arnhem was the British 1st Airborne. And we're going to focus on the Nijmegen 82nd Airborne in Nijmegen, and in particular the battle for the Nijmegen Bridge. On day one of Market Garden on 17 September, the 82nd got on the ground. All their 6 bridges that they had to capture in the southern region south of Nijmegen were captured almost immediately. The main effort on the main bridge, which fell to the, I believe it was the 504th and the 508th Parachute Infantry Regiments, it was a little bit more slow going. They had to secure the Groesbeek Heights, which was off to the east, and basically they had to secure it because it was high ground. And if the enemy took the high ground, they would overlook Nijmegen, and there would be some issues there. So they secured that. The 504th was sent immediately to get to the bridge, but the commander of the battalion, they said it was a miscommunication. All right, and I got it. You know, in those days, that happened a lot when you were just doing, standard radio, and well, it happens. Okay, folks, it happens. Tucker, who was the commander, decides to. He was supposed to go around Nijmegen in the open, around the city, around the built-up areas, and get to the river, and then move towards the bridgehead. He actually went through the outskirts of Nijmegen, and he ran into some resistance. And because they had taken so long trying to secure the heights, Nijmegen was reinforced from the north, from a unit from Arnhem that came down. The Germans came down and actually got into the city of Nijmegen. And it was hard going, folks. They were fighting house to house, and the tanks hadn't made it yet because the tanks were coming up the single highway up to Nijmegen. Still had to go through Son. They lost a bridge in Son, so they had to rebuild it. A lot of issues going on. I mean, when you study Market Garden, which is a cool battle to study, a cool operation, there were a lot of issues, and just a lot of things came up, and thus kind of the theme of today's talk, keep going, because even when issues were hitting them left and right from the 2nd 30 Corps launched down south all the way up to Arnhem, they had issue after issue, and the Allied forces kept going. Predominantly American. We did have some British guys up there, but by then they had kind of learned their lesson. After 2 wars with us, they were like, okay, we'll be on your side. We see what's going on. So it was a good decision on Britain's part. And again, it was perseverance through many trials. Our forces. And to start, I'm going to read something here, just so you understand. Persistence, perseverance, is continuation of effort and striving in the face of difficulty, opposition, or failure. It is a key characteristic of successful people. So remember that, folks. Remember that. Now, the battle for the bridge, folks, the battle for the Nijmegen Bridge. They were actually able to make an assault on the bridge. And this is, we're talking on the actual 20th is when they went in to actually take the bridge. Let me make sure my notes are right. Yeah, the 20th of September is when they decided to actually assault the bridge and take it. And this is after days of fighting in Nijmegen, days of kind of repelling counterattacks from the German forces. And the plan was to launch at 0800. And this is where kind of you see, I have a list of 6 things that just came against the 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment as they were getting ready to do this assault. And it was kind of one of those things, you know, where it was a plan that was kind of like, hey, it just might work. And people also probably said, hey, what could go wrong? Because the plan was to attack both sides of the bridge at the same time. Well, in order to do that, you had to get your forces over to the other side and then attack from the other side. And by the way, this was going to be done in daylight. So, you know, hey, you know, it looks like we could do this. Yeah, what could go wrong? Folks, all right, so here's what happens. In order to get your light infantry, because you've already done your airborne assault, you just can't go back to England, get on planes, and then do an airborne assault on the other side. They had to cross the river. Now, remember, we're capturing bridges here. There's no bridges to cross. So they decide, hey, let's get boats. Let's get boats. Now, last I checked, a parachute infantry regiment just doesn't bring boats with it, okay? I mean, you don't throw them in the back of the plane and launch them out. Maybe today you might, I mean, with all of our tech. But they didn't have boats, so it had to be brought up from 30 Corps. The boats were supposed to be there at, you know, 0600 because the operation was supposed to start at 0800. Folks, the boats didn't arrive until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and there were only 26 boats. 26. That's it for the entire 504th Regiment, or the 3rd Battalion of the 504th Infantry Regiment. All right, now, on top of that, the boats arrive. That's good, yay. But they weren't the kind of boats that you would think. I mean, we do have assault boats now in the military. They are, you know, air, you know, you blow them up with air and stuff. So it may not be any better than what they got. But these boats arrive, canvas sides and plywood bottoms, and they fold it up. So very unsturdy. So then the third, so they start loading the boats. The third hurdle that they run into here is they've got to row 150 yards in swift current. Now, I mean, folks, come on, this is 150 yards rowing, folks. Last I checked, though, rowing a boat wasn't a part of airborne training, okay? And even somebody in good shape, you throw them into one of these little kayaks out here in swift current, oh, yeah, they may do well for a while, and they may actually make it because they're in good shape. But did I tell you that the enemy isn't just going to let you cross the river? They're actually going to be firing at you when you're coming across the river. Oh, that's an additional point I had to put in there. All right, once you get across the river, you must cross 400 yards of open field under heavy machine gun fire, 20 millimeter fire, and artillery. Okay, yeah, no problem. I mean, we got this, right? You get up to this road that's on top of a dike. You have to assault the Germans up on that position, which they did with grenades and bayonets, by the way. It gets better here. All right, then they had to move 2 kilometers down the road to the bridgehead itself. You can kind of see where these things are starting to add up. Difficulty after difficulty after difficulty. And then finally assault the Germans defending the bridgehead. The guys that are actually dug in behind bunkers, behind sandbags. Wow. Okay, folks, this is what these guys were up against. Now, 26 boats 26 boats launched in the first wave. 16 made it. By the time the 16 got back for the second wave, they only had 11 left that could make the crossing. So the 11 boats started ferrying the next wave over. And of course, the guys get to the other side under heavy fire. They've got to stop for a second, get their bearings. I mean, probably take a few breaths because they just rode across the river. They assaulted across the field. Again, they took the positions on top of the dike road using grenades and bayonets. Yes, old school style, folks. And then they moved out smartly in formation, well, tactical formation, down the roadway. They assaulted the other side of the bridge. The beautiful thing was that as they were starting to assault, the guys on the southern end of the bridge happened to break through. And the beautiful thing about them breaking through on the southern end of the bridge was they had tanks. And the M4 Sherman started moving across the bridge, taking out the German positions on the bridge, came up behind them, and the bridge was captured. Oh, by the way, it was rigged for demolition, but they believe that the Dutch underground, believe it or not, yes, the Dutch underground had severed the demolition links during the night, which was phenomenal because the bridge didn't blow up. It could have gone up any second now. That's one of the hazards you have when you try to capture a bridge. It simply just could blow up. So despite all these odds and little hurdles that were against them, folks, our troopers, they kept moving forward. They kept going on. They could have just hunkered down and said, wow, this is just too tough. Let's just hold position here and wait for whatever, man. Let's just hold position here, man. We can build up forces here, get some more people up here, get some more help. We can let someone else do it, for that matter. They kept going and going and going, and they succeeded in capturing the bridge. I forgot to mention, there were also they were supposed to get air support, 2 British Spitfires. One had got shot up, and the other decided just to return to England, so they didn't have that air support. So that was another thing they were hoping for, but a hurdle they didn't get. Wow. It's quite the battle. When you actually read the book by Cornelius Ryan, historian, Bridge Too Far is the name of the book, and Stephen Ambrose's, folks, when you're reading this account of this attack, it's like you're there for the very first time. It's a really cool, the way they lay it out is just like, wow, are they going to take the bridge? They took the bridge. I couldn't put it down after that during that part of the book. Just a really, really uplifting. So, is there a spiritual reality here? Yes, there is. Because like I said, persistence. Keep going through the difficult times. Keep going. Even when there's failure, you keep going. You keep moving. Keep moving forward because you know God's got your back. Now, the scripture I'm going to read to you today on our spiritual application here is from Romans 5, 3 through 5. Romans 5, 3 through 5. Here we go. Not only so, but we also rejoice in our suffering, because we know that suffering produces, perseverance. Perseverance produces character, and character hope. And hope does not disappoint us, because God has poured out His love into our hearts by the Holy Spirit, whom He has given us. Folks, when we persevere, when we persist, when we keep going, we know God's with us the whole time. And not only is He with us and helping us through it, we are building ourselves up spiritually, folks. We're getting stronger. We're building spiritual character that cannot be moved in the face of anything. And that's what's critical here. And it's awesome. James also speaks to this. James 1, 2 through 4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything. Folks, I know most of the people that watch are former soldiers, are soldiers currently, and we know what it's like. Times are hard, you just keep going and you just hunker down. It makes you a stronger soldier. It makes you a stronger person. And hopefully when you go into the next section of your life, when you grow up and know what you want to be, that character and that virtue of perseverance sticks with you so that you are successful in many walks of life and you're able to handle anything that comes against you. People look to you and say, hey, you're a rock here, man. Help us. And then you can also say, yeah, I understand. I've learned some stuff from the Army, but God is my rock, and He's my source. You should follow that example as well. So you can kind of see where this really helps in our spiritual walks. Apply these principles on a daily basis when things get hard, and it never hurts when things get hard simply to just say, God, it's tough, help me, give me the strength to do this. And he's going to do that. I promise you, he's going to do that. He's going to be there for you. Again, the outcome is phenomenal, and you will notice great things in your lives if you just simply apply what the Word says. And take note from our forces in history, what we have done as American soldiers. You can't go wrong with that. We're the greatest thing on the face of this earth, and the rest of the world knows it. So I think that's a very good principle to live by. All right, folks, good to see you out there, everybody waving back at you. Good to see you. I enjoy seeing the waves and the comments there. We're midway through the week. Let's knock this one out, and let's get ready for Christmas, which is coming up. I hope you all have a beautiful day, a blessed day, and don't forget, walk like lions.